really got the whole setup.
I know.
You. I'm so impressed.
Yeah.
I'm glad you like it. You guys could do a podcast. You do van life too.
We
right?
do van life.
Okay, now we've lit up Alex's face.
Now you can see him.
I look better in the dark.
Yeah. So your wife said,
Should be able to brighten it up in post.
Nice.
Sweet.
And feel free to adjust the mics too. Like,
Cool.
you know how mics stand.
Yeah, and you just let us know if you can hear us.
Oh yeah, I was just doing a check. When you perform, do you have like the on stage? I'm not a musician. This is
The
embarrassing.
in-ears?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. That's
We
it.
just started using those. So we used those
were
yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, is that hard to get used to hearing yourself?
As an instrumentalist, I sing so rarely. For me, it's amazing. I can hear everything the way I want to hear it because you have an app on your phone that changes your mix for you. So like if I want to hear more guitars, I just open my phone and turn up the guitar.
Oh,
It's the way to go because monitors, like on stage monitors, somebody else is usually running them. And then if you want to get picky or pedantic, they end up, it's never right. It always changes. They screw up and they move the wrong fader. Like, it's so much better to just do it yourself. So
you guys are professionals, that's for sure. It was fantastic. Last night was so fun.
thank you.
Thanks.
Well, first let me say welcome to Nick's
Thank you.
Vancast.
Thank you.
For winter.
Thanks.
This
So
is so
good to
exciting.
be here. Yeah.
Very serendipitous indeed. The fact that my name is also Nick and we also live and drive around in a ProMaster.
Yes.
So this is awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Got another build.
Stunning.
Yeah, like I said, last night was amazing at Barrel House Brewing Company. I'd only been there one other time, and then we were there for a birthday party last night. We're at the table, and, you know, I was like hoping there would be live music, and there was. And then the first song that you all played together, I forget what the name of it was. You told me yesterday, but...
Is it the one with the 3-part harmonies? Always You?
Yes, yeah. So it was fantastic. And I look over and I'm like, I have to find out what this is before we leave. And so we got to chatting and then saw you both in the bathroom. And I was like, do you guys want to do a podcast tomorrow?
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
Where all good conversations are had. It's like
true.
post-urinal. Yeah.
Yeah. And then found out you all travel in a van too. So
Yep.
Yeah,
Also
yeah.
a ProMaster.
yeah. So just so fun that the next day, here we are again.
Yeah, very fitting, eh? And a beautiful spot to be at as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
Morro Bay.
Yeah.
But feel free, I've introduced South for Winter, but feel free to introduce yourselves individually as well if you'd like.
I guess I'm first.
All right.
I am Alex. What do? I play cello, I guess, mostly. Mostly cello, a little bit of guitar from time to time. Sing when there's a gun to my head. Other than that,
Pretty much.
resident pack mule. I carry all the heavy things.
I'm Nick. Play a bit of guitar, vocals, and do what I'm told. Happy wife, happy life. Speaking of.
And I'm Dani, and I play mandolin, sometimes a little bit of percussion, a little bit of guitar, and vocals.
Amazing. Again, fantastic. I'll say that a bunch of times today. But the obvious question, how did the band form? What's the origin story?
I mean, this one goes back a wee while, but I used to work for a volunteer organization called Reach Out Volunteers. And happened to be working in Peru. Dani was involved in the project, and she had a little backpacker guitar. It was a Martin. No, mine was the
Taylor.
Martin. Yours was the Taylor. And so we had a jam. And
A true love story, a Martin and a Taylor.
Yep. And then eventually we ended up, writing a song on that trip, and we still play that song like 8 years later or something.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So we kind of did like the long distance thing between New Zealand and the US, and I was in nursing school at the time in Nashville. So then I finished nursing school. I moved to New Zealand for a year, and we started performing together and writing more songs together. Decided to form a duo and moved back to Nashville so I could start working as a nurse. And pretty much right when we moved back to Nashville and decided to start a duo called South for Winter, we posted onto a Facebook page looking for a graphic designer to build us a website. And Alex had just moved to Nashville and was a little bit drunk. And you want to take this part, Alex?
Yeah. So I just sort of commented and was like, hey, I'm not a graphic designer, but do you want a cellist instead? And they called my bluff. Sure, you want to come over? So I'm now forced to go over to these strangers' house I've never met. I don't know if their music's good. I don't know anything. And show up and meet these two lovely people. And Nick makes me a big old pasta dish, and we start drinking a lot of beer. And then by the end of the night, we had traded instruments a few times. Which
Nick was on the cello.
Nick's a wonderful
spicy.
cellist.
He's not.
But I haven't been able to leave since, and that was 5 years ago.
Stockholm syndrome. Stuck in a white van with us.
That's true.
And now you're in my white van.
Exactly.
Full circle.
I feel so comfortable.
What a fantastic story. I would have had no idea.
It's a little bit
So
random.
cool.
And also, Alex is now married to my best friend from nursing school.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't have happened without all of
It's
this.
all nuts.
So many of the good things that have happened to us have been due to little tiny serendipitous decisions. So many things.
Like this today.
Yeah.
That's definitely part of the joy of getting on the road and just getting outside of your box, you know, because we are taking risk at every gig. You know, you don't know what to expect. And so we try to reduce that risk by taking good sound equipment on the road with us, much like you have as well in here. And that way, if you're prepared for the opportunity, you never know what you'll run into. Like, for example, Nick's podcast. So it's awesome from yesterday to today.
Yeah. Proof positive of what we do. Yeah.
I mean, with a lot of travel this year for sure, which has been good. We've probably put 40,000 miles on the ProMaster.
Wow.
Yeah, we were out in Maine like a month ago. So it was beautiful up in Acadia, which is, I guess, one of the spin-offs to this kind of line of work. We're able to get out, do what we love doing, meet people along the way, and then get your work-life balance and do a bit of hiking.
Yeah.
Take the dog with you.
I got to propose to my wife on tour. I mean, it was all, she came out and met us in Vancouver. Well, she met us in Seattle. We drove up to Vancouver, and I proposed up there on like one of the 3 sunny days a year they have up there.
Kitsilano Point.
Yeah.
It's kind of the nice thing, too, about having the van is that it forces us to camp on our days off or after shows. So rather than just crashing in hotels, then we pick campsites. It's more affordable. There's showers. And it also lets us get out of our bubble of music and work and lets us, take our days off a lot easier.
Yeah.
And on the topic of van, though, if we do want to go there, we had quite a lot of fun building it out and trying to customize it to be able to sleep the 3 of us, which is kind of a difficult one. You don't see too many videos on YouTube, which is, of course, how we learn how to build out our van. Mm-hmm. But we had to custom fit like 4 guitars, now 5 guitars, a cello, a PA, a lot of equipment.
Mandolin, microphone stands.
PA, yeah.
A suitcase kick drum. Merchandise.
Luggage.
That was cool. I like that kick drum.
It's fun, isn't it?
I was like, is there a 4th person coming? Then I see you playing. I'm like, that's awesome.
That was a necessity, like we have played with an amazing drummer back home, but he brings like a gong out to gigs. And so
he's got too much stuff to take him on the
So
road.
That's why I ended up being like, well, I need a kick drum just to cover something. But most kick drums are pretty big too, and you got to be van space conscious.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That way, we used a Samsonite suitcase essentially.
Yeah.
Cut a big drum hole into it, put it in. Now it's a kick drum. But yeah, it's kind of, as you know, like everything's got to have a purpose and a multi-function many times in the van. So Alex sleeps on a couch, but folds into a bed. It's a jackknife couch.
Mm-hmm.
We even travel with our dog, too.
Yeah.
So we sleep 4 in the van, actually.
You could have joined us.
Tight quarters. I
Another
know.
microphone.
I know. Shoot.
So going back to the beginning, like you start the duo to begin with, and then where do you want to take music at that time? And then, of course, it leads into the 3 of you traveling in a van. But, I mean, it starts somewhere. And what was the goal to begin with? And how has that shaped as time has gone on and being all together now?
That's a good question. It's kind of funny because when Nick and I first started performing, we definitely wanted to become a band, and we loved the sound of cello. So before Alex replied to our ad about a graphic designer, we posted asking for a cellist, and no one replied. And then weeks later, we were like, well, might as well just start somewhere. Let's start playing as a duo. So that's when we posted for a graphic designer, and a cellist replied instead of a graphic designer. So
Did you ever learn graphic design?
Oh, no. I'm terrible. I'm terrible.
I ended up making our website. I ended up becoming our graphic designer.
But I think that's the point, though, is like we went out starting off as songwriters, and then when we added this beautiful classical element to the music, all of a sudden we were like, okay, what is this? Like it kept evolving. Every song we would write would change, sometimes sounding like a Renaissance track, and we're like, what was that? and that's that classical influence coming in. So it was really interesting trying to, I guess, find our sound every song we wrote, because Dani loved the storytelling, murder ballad aspects. And
I really, really have always loved the Civil Wars as a band. And so that was kind of the initial dream, was doing something along those lines. And then as we added in Alex and together we started forming our sound, it became a lot more eclectic and took on a lot more different styles, like some jazz, some more upbeat kind of bluegrassy stuff, some of that Southern Gothic folk that the Civil Wars does. So it kind of became our own thing, even though we were aiming for kind of a Civil Wars style.
I mean, you can take influence from anyone, but you're never going to be different.
You're not going to be them.
Yeah.
Right.
So definitely has been like we started with the concept of like frequency, I guess. The two of us always talked about how mandolin would be up here with the female voice and acoustic guitar in the mid range and cello down the bottom. So Alex was always originally handed the bass frequencies, and it's like that way we can't step on each other's toes musically.
Yeah, there's only so much space, you can hear 70 guitars at the same time, but you're not going to hear much. Where if you have designated space, it's almost like being able to, you can use your brain and pick out, I know what that instrument sounds like. I know what that singer is doing. I know what that guitar is doing. That means we're doing our job. And as long as it's cohesive, then the music's good. And I think we've continued to challenge ourselves as we've gone on with more equipment and more complicated music, how to continue to do that and how to get even bigger, how to be 3 that sound like 5. Which is really, where the foot percussion comes in, where the pedals come in and the sub-octave comes in, where you start challenging yourselves to do more on stage, because I sit in a chair 90% of the night. So it's like, well, what else can I do? I can sort of play 2 instruments at the same time.
Get more pedals.
Get more pedals.
Yeah, so you all click personality-wise. You're playing music together and you're making things that you like. When do you decide that you want to take it on the road? And when do you decide in a van, of all things?
Oh, there was a trial by fire.
Yeah,
so we really started playing shows locally and sort of started to figure out we were capable and the music was good and people were receptive. So we all went in on a $3,000 Craigslist van. It was an old 2000 Ram van, one of the old conversions, the classic ones that you see all over the roads today.
Killer VHS.
Oh, beautiful. It was a beautiful
DVD.
van. Yeah,
we still have it.
12-inch flat
We
screen.
still own the van.
wow.
It drives in the city in Nashville.
Okay.
It doesn't make it far.
So we built it out, didn't do any repairs to it. We just built it out well enough to sleep us. I slept on the floor in the middle. They slept on the converted bed in the back. And
It was not comfortable.
No,
It was
turnout
actually
was terrible.
very
Yeah.
miserable. Especially in comparison to now. People are like, oh my gosh, all 3 of you sleep in a Ram ProMaster conversion. Isn't that tight quarters? And we're like, you have no
idea.
Mansion now.
idea.
Yeah,
we are
It is.
stepping up in the world. I mean,
This is
I had
bougie.
yeah, we turned around and
Ford Econoline back in the day as well.
we turned around and put like 15,000 miles on that van in like 6 weeks. Danny booked us this obscenely packed
I would
First
like to
tour.
say
Wow.
that I lit the fire for us to tour. Alex was a little resistant at first.
Well,
But I mean, it's intimidating because I kept seeing all of these artists around us starting to tour and how it just took their career trajectory so much further, so much faster. And I noticed that a lot of artists that stayed in Nashville got stuck in this bubble. They would play the circuits, but Nashville's a hard place to grow your fan base, and people would just think that they'd made it by playing like 100-person shows there, but they never grew outside of it. So they just kept hitting walls after years of playing there. So I was like, we need to start hitting the road. We need to start finding more markets and touring, especially because we're not commercial country. We're going to get stuck if we stay in Nashville.
It's really weird now being a band for like coming up 5 years. It's like if you go back to territories you've been before, having people wear your merch, like knowing your songs, that's bizarre because like we've spent years just playing to audiences who have never heard of us because we're always trying to push to build an audience. And so you're always trying to win that audience over, which is a totally different mindset, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, like last night, this is our first week of shows ever in California. We've never made it down here before,
Yeah.
so
That's huge.
it's always intimidating to enter a new territory and be like, no one knows our music. You're trying to, like Nick said, win everyone over. The shows are not going to be as great as territories you've been to before, but you just have to do it. You have to start somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah, that's so cool. So what have been the best places to play outside of Nashville then, having traveled kind of all over many states, right?
Yeah.
I will always shout out Mile Music.
Yeah.
Appleton, Wisconsin.
Yep, for sure.
Amazing spot. The Midwest has been really good. I'm from Colorado, so we've been really lucky to start playing some festivals and some good shows in my hometown.
Fest there was
Yeah,
huge for us.
Colorado Springs.
Yep.
New Zealand, actually, we had a good few shows in New Zealand this past February when we got to go back. That was amazing.
I think that was also because they had shut down all the other festivals, so the only gigs that were going on at that time were like gatherings under 100, seated, no dancing. I was like, that's perfect for a folk
That's us.
Yeah.
show. So it actually worked really well.
Yeah.
But that was an interesting experience. And then I guess with Connecticut, we had some great shows out there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a lot of good areas so far. But definitely
Maine
the
was very
Midwest.
cool as well.
Maine was great.
Yeah. It was just beautiful out there too. So
Yeah.
the shows were good and it's just gorgeous on
That's
your
that
days
whole
off.
work-life balance once again, eh? Like if you've got a couple days off, then you can go exploring.
Right.
I mean, we had not a couple days off, but we had one day from Colorado to Las Vegas. And we decided along the way we would start the morning at Arches.
This is a week ago, by the way.
And then we would drive through to Zion and catch the sunset up above the canyon. There's a hike up there. So, yeah, it worked out pretty amazingly. And then we finished the evening in Vegas at the Bellagio
Yeah, hit the strip
Fountain.
for
Yep.
for a couple hours.
That was fun.
I think I might have saw a picture of that actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, it was your birthday recently too.
Yes.
I saw.
The 6th was my birthday.
Happy
Yeah.
birthday.
Thank you. That was, I would consider that the birthday celebration.
Yeah.
That was like 2 days in one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a hard, it was a fun day, but like we hit 2, I think we were in bed at 2 or something in Vegas.
I think it was
2
an
national parks.
18-hour day, 18 hours of driving
Yeah.
and sightseeing. And it was a little bit dumb, but it was
Oh,
very
man.
fun.
But 10 out of 10, if you get a chance to go to Zion, go to Zion.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
is
Stunning.
otherworldly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worth the hype.
Yep.
Well, it's got to be awesome too, being able to work and travel. And also, the way I think about it all the time is having opportunities to see new places because of like hard work that you put in order to, in this case, play music well and, people are enjoying it. I ran cross country in college and I always felt like getting on an airplane and flying to like a race somewhere. I was like, all those miles that I ran, all led up to this airplane ride. So
Yeah.
do you ever stop and think of, you want to take it somewhere, but in the meantime, like stopping to enjoy, like, look at this sunrise that I'm seeing because of the practice hours that I put in. Do you ever think of it like that?
Interesting way to view it. I like that.
When we have the chance, we're starting to try to route we have the ability now to not take every single possible gig every time, whether it pays well or not, because there is that sort of attitude you have to take at the start. Now we can calculate days off. We can push for openings in Acadia or Zion. And then that's where you start to take that in and go, I'm on the other side of the country seeing a place I may never go to again because someone is willing to pay me to play music. Like it's dope.
You nailed it there with like the level that we're at as independent artists means that we're able to factor in national parks into our tour schedule. Obviously, like if we get to the point of where we want to be and end up having some big agency booking us like a couple hundred dates a year, we won't have the same time to appreciate these kind of moments.
Yep.
So it's sort of like building the lifestyle that you want with it. So for us, I mean, I personally love camping. These two know about that.
We've just got a constant running joke about how every single time we pull into a campsite, Nick takes a deep breath and goes, how good is camping, guys?
We'll be in a shitty like rest stop in the middle of like Iowa and go, how good's
How
camping,
good is
guys?
camping?
It's always camping.
Yeah.
We're in Walmart or
Yep.
Morro Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets real cranky if he's gone a few days without camping. So we're like, just take him to the woods and he'll be happy.
Yep.
Made for that van life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
He
And it's
is.
nice because you can play your show and then if you can find a good state park like 30, 40 minutes from the show, it's amazing to wake up to that in the morning. You know,
Yeah.
I find it a whole lot like more affordable than doing the hotel thing anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Like we think we've saved probably like 15, 20,000.
I think that's a very underlooked thing is our investment up front in the van, like cuts our costs down by like 2/3. I mean, the average 2-bed hotel room is like, even not nice ones are over $100 a night pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, state
Food,
parks
too.
like
Where-
20, 25,
So
35
many,
bucks.
yeah,
depends
state
where you're at.
national parks are like under $50 everywhere.
Yeah.
So there's instantly
And
$100
then,
a
like,
night.
having a fridge as well.
Fridge and a microwave,
changer.
honestly, because we didn't have that in our first van. So we would take our cooler around, and your food's always going bad. You're always worried about getting sick, and
Or
you don't
you're
have a
having
microwave.
McDonald's and you're getting sick.
That's true.
It's nice
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
actually eat healthy now on the road.
Well, ish.
Still gotta go to
Nachos.
McDonald's sometimes.
Yeah. Well, beer is healthy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beer is in the fridge always.
There you go.
Yeah, half the
Good
fridge
point.
is beer, so I don't know how healthy that is. guys. Nick has van
And-
lifed for on and off for the last 8 years. He did it before it
Wow.
was cool.
But it
Yeah.
just seemed like economical. It was just like, well, if you could just travel around and there's your home.
Mm-hmm.
We always joked that we were never in a rush to get anywhere because we were already home.
Yeah.
So, enjoy the moments on the highway,
Right.
potting it away. And then, of course, you with the older vehicles, you end up with a few distributors blowing, or in our case with the last van, it was 2 transmissions on our Dodge Ram. So that's why we ended up, with Danny doing some nursing, we were able to afford like a down payment on one of these vans. And then I had the time off the road to
Yeah.
watch a lot of YouTube videos. Fortunately, Alex has watched plenty of YouTube videos.
I watched so much van life YouTube that it's sickening. For a person, I do not own a van. I do not,
So if I ever had any question of like what to do, he'd be like, I got you. So this episode,
Yeah, watch this episode of Dave and Matt.
Yeah.
They toured this van and this is what they did.
Yep.
That's
know.
who built this van.
Yep.
Are you from near Gypsum in Colorado?
No. Where's Gypsum?
Gypsum is like 45 minutes west of Vail, I think.
Oh, really?
I think so. That's
I'm
where-
from the Springs, which is like an hour south of Denver. So
Yeah,
not
I've been
in the
there
mountains.
for a
Have you-
cross country race.
No way.
At the university there, the Air Force Academy.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I ran a race there.
Oh, nice.
Those hills.
Elevation.
Yeah.
And
It'll wreck
schools
ya.
like, yeah, schools like people who are around there were fine, and then
Mm-hmm.
we're all like bringing us back to San Jose.
Yeah.
Sea level.
That's why they have the Olympic Training Center there. So they,
Oh,
they
yeah, we
train
went
people
there
at the
after.
altitude. Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's where I did my high school swimming team. We got to use the Olympic Training Center pool where Michael Phelps,
Wow.
swam and peed probably.
wow.
That was the high school
Holy
joke.
water.
It's gross.
Sell that online.
I know. It's really gross to say it now.
From van life to Michael Phelps.
Right.
Hey, love it. But with the van, yes, it's always nice to be able to open the door to like some amazing place. But gas stations work too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The convenience of being able to brush your teeth like in your home is like
Yeah.
everything's so convenient is
So
amazing.
nice.
I love
Uh-huh.
that.
Yeah.
Us too.
We often look at like the campsite stuff as like, well, it's often $10 a person to shower, like
Yeah.
We used to do Planet Fitness a lot because that was, pre-COVID, we'd all have Black Card memberships, but that's $25 a month. So really, if you're out for a month, you're
that's a great option.
you're getting your money's
Yeah.
worth. But I still think camping is probably better per money, like better.
Mentally
also the
as
security
well.
factor as well
That
is a big
too.
thing
Security.
Yeah.
with traveling with equipment.
Yeah.
I think that's something too that we didn't think about, but we're really thankful for is that because we're sleeping in the van with all of our gear, that's a huge safety thing. Because a lot of artists like travel with trailers and then sleep in hotels. And we've known so many artists that have gotten their trailers cut off and all of their gear stolen
Whoa,
on
take
tour.
The whole trailer.
The whole trailer.
Oh yeah, they just bolt.
all the
They
gear.
bolt cut it off and rehitch it to their car and drive away. I mean, that's
Crazy.
5 figures in gear, right? 20, 30,
terrifying.
$40,000 of gear, merch, like lost income from stolen merch, which benefits nobody
No
who steals
one.
it, right?
Right.
Unless you're famous, which we are not.
Yeah.
We had
Yeah,
somebody
you are.
we had somebody steal CDs from us off of a porch. We got merch sent to a friend's house. It was actually the acoustic EP CDs. A guy stole it off their front porch, was following the FedEx truck and was just lifting the packages.
And they were at home too.
After
They
they
were at
got
home.
delivered.
It was in front of a ring cam.
Yeah.
He stole it right off the
Yep.
porch.
And that bums us out because the amount of money we lost from him stealing them, those are worth nothing to him. He can't sell them to anyone. He ended up throwing them in an alley, and they were found 2 weeks later by a guy who lived nearby and actually brought them back to our friend's house. And I was like, hey, these were addressed to you. Do you want them back?
So yeah, we'd had like an urgent ship sent out.
We
Yeah,
got
it was right
all
before-
of them back.
Right before a big
Really?
festival.
Yes,
Where we're like, we
it's
need these. We got
nuts.
like bills to pay. We need to sell these CDs so we can buy gas. And
Yeah. And we'd searched like all the dumpsters nearby. We knew he was going to dump them. So we searched the dumpsters, searched the alleyways, couldn't find them. And then we had to leave to go to this festival. And yeah, in the oncoming weeks, it was storming. There was all this rain. We were like, there's no way we're getting them back. Because they were shrink wrapped. They all survived. And we got every single one back.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Unbelievable.
I mean, along the lines of van life too, when we came into the van, there's a comment made about someone stealing mugs, someone using someone's mug. How do y'all get along in a close space like that?
Way better than we should.
That first van really taught us
It did.
how to survive in an intimate space. And it was not without arguments. You got to learn strengths and weaknesses, and like pet peeves. So I remember fondly a show in Buffalo where I think we were not appropriately rested and maybe not appropriately caffeinated, and Nick and I just started arguing mid-afternoon set. We're on stage, like
No,
we're in the middle of we're covering like banana pancakes or something, fighting over who's playing the guitar part correctly, and he's like, fine, I'm going to go get a beer, and stops playing and puts his guitar down in the middle of the song and goes up to the bar and orders a beer. I'm like, this.
And me and Alex just look at each other like,
Guess we're finishing the song together
yay.
and taking a break.
so I'm the diva. Is that what you're saying?
No, we all have our things. I like Nick and Dani, caffeine.
Yeah.
Dani, sleep and caffeine. Me, sleep and food.
Okay.
Yep. All of us, and we're starting to learn like when each other is at our limit and when we need space
how do you
apart.
give each other space
Yeah.
for sure?
Uh-huh.
You know, because it is like, you know, in a marriage, it's learning each other's, I guess, space needs, and then so this is almost like that, really.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've learned a lot about each other and each other's habits and whatnot, and somehow we do get along, which is amazing, a miracle, really, because I guess that's
wouldn't
one of the
work
difficulties
otherwise.
with tour lifestyle.
Yeah. It is pretty lucky, though, that even when we're home, so we have houses that are 5 minutes apart. And as I mentioned, I'm best friends with his wife, and we see each other probably every 2 days when we're home off the road, which we'll be like, we should take some space. We should, give each other some time off. And then we'll be like, hey, what are you up to?
Yeah, you want to come over?
It's a good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been interesting seeing them be married because we were playing music together right before they got married.
Yep.
So I've been able to watch them exist as a band and as a married couple the whole time, and get to like go through their honeymoon phase,
Not in a weird way.
and go through their post honeymoon phase.
He's just always there
I'm
watching.
always watching.
No, there's a lot of separation of, relationships and of, trying to be three separate people on the road, but also all get along and share space. And
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it works out great, mainly because of the addition of camping.
Yes.
To go back to it, in my
Honestly,
opinion.
yes.
Caffeine and camping.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
Because it's like having more space. Like there's a saying we always used to have of like, we have a big backyard because you open up the door and that's your backyard. You know, that's the fun of being a van lifer. So being able to come to the campsites like this, it's like, yeah, we've got the shower facilities that we can't fit in our van, and being able to just also have your own separation. Like we've got a rooftop patio, so it's awesome. You can go up there, chill out, or in Alex's case, stand up there to get enough reception to call his wife, and then chase away a cougar or something.
Oh yeah, that's a story.
Oh,
If we want a side note,
Oh, we do. We do want to.
All right.
No.
okay, so we're outside of Acadia, and we roll up to a campsite late. We make a big old dinner. And crush food. I have no service. I got to call my wife. So I'm going to get up on the van. I've got just enough service to like call her on speakerphone if I don't move. And at this point, the sun's going down. Nick and Dani take River for a walk, and they're gone. And I'm in my own world. We're talking on the phone, having a good time. And it's now like dark. And I have just enough light to look down and see there's like a skunk walking by. I'm like, oh, babe, look, there's a skunk. And as it walks towards our picnic table where all of our food was, because we left our food out, which should not do. There is a creature on the picnic table, bigger than River. River's like a 60-pound dog. So this creature is like Riv or bigger sized. It's dark enough, and I'm far enough away where I can't really tell what it is, but it's khaki colored, and it's got those like lit up eyes, and it's looking at me. Oh, shit. My first thought is like, that's a cougar or a mountain lion because it's big enough and like silent, right? Like didn't hear it come in, didn't come in, like hit the table or anything. And first thing I do is pull up the ladder because if it's going to come get me, it's got to work for its food. And I'm sort of just like talking it out with Meg on the phone. I'm like, I don't know what this is, but it's big and I don't like it. So I just start banging the ladder on the top of the roof rack to freak it out. And it's like still looking at me. And eventually I hit it enough times where it goes, and it jumps into the woods. And I've got my flashlight on my phone and I'm just trying to catch its eyes, and I find it, and it starts circling me. And at this point, like, I still can't see what it is. Like, it's too dark. My eyes aren't good enough from that distance. And I'm just like, and it's coming around. It comes all the way back around. I'm like, this thing's going to come get me. I don't know what it is. It comes all the way back to the picnic table, goes back to the food. And by this point, I'm trying again to scare it away. And thankfully, Nick and Danny come back with the dog, and they hear it just go, wow, and just like race into the woods and like.
And we have no idea what's going on. We're on our little walk and we're like, there's a lot of wildlife around here. There's foxes, there's deer. We're like, there's a lot of eyes out there. We don't know what they are. And so we looked it up if there's cougars in Acadia National Park. And sources say, according to the Maine government, no, there's no cougars. But there's all these websites from locals who, like, you can monitor your sightings. There's a map showing all of the sightings, and all of the sightings were exactly where we were.
Yep.
So
yeah. So because it could have been a coyote, but that's the biggest coyote I've ever seen. They're usually kind of small. I guess it could have been a wolf, but wolves are grayer. They're not as khaki.
Yeah.
yeah.
So you could say that the van kind of saved your life.
The van saved our life because
There you
we had
go.
promptly brought in all of our food, closed the door, and like just played cards. We played
Yeah, we
cards for the rest of the night.
We did not leave.
No.
And also when Nick and I came up with River, thankfully River scared it away and didn't bait the cat or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But it was loud, like it thundered away through the woods.
Yeah.
We were like, what was that?
Yeah. So we
Yeah,
don't leave food out
crazy.
anymore.
No, I'm from Colorado and I can't believe that we did that.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. That
Yeah.
was definitely a mountain. It had to have been.
I would think so.
so.
Probably was.
I think so. I mean, bigger than like a lab-sized dog.
We were out there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was quiet out there.
There's mountain lions out where I'm from in Santa Cruz in the mountains, UCSC and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've seen one, but our neighbors, like, they'll take pictures once in a while. But I used to run at night in the winter because I get off work and I go for a run. I'm like, I feel like semi-comfortable because I'm out here, out on these trails many people know about.
Mm-hmm.
But then thinking back, I'm like, I probably got watched by many things that could eat me.
Yes, you don't know. That
Hopefully
they're
you were
there.
fast enough to just.
Yeah.
They're going. He's been running for a long time. I'm
Yeah.
not going to try to chase that.
And I would listen
Right.
to music too.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
Dumb. And a headlamp.
So scary.
I don't know what I was thinking. So
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's like the first time I went to visit this Danny in Colorado. She's like, there's mountain lions. I was like, no, we should do some night hiking. Like
And I was like, nope.
so unaware. Like,
Oh, they're
that's the benefit
everywhere.
of New Zealand. There's no predators. So
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So you can just be out now, night running, no worries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still remember the first time that Nick and I went camping in New Zealand. And I was like, so where do you tie up your bear bag? Like, do you have to buy special stuff that's not scented? He was like, there's nothing out here
Just
besides
possums.
birds that'll steal your food.
Possums will steal your food. That's about
Possums.
it.
Yeah.
Have you all been to New Zealand then? Have you been to New Zealand?
No,
Of course we
they
both
haven't
have.
taken me.
Hey,
Yeah.
we've tried.
Oh,
Yeah,
I know.
well,
We've
maybe.
tried.
Well, it'll be coming up at some point. Eventually,
Yeah.
you'll get
It's an
called up.
expensive business venture.
It
If
is.
I'm
Like,
going,
we do it because of family. It's good. It's
Yeah.
important to be able to get
Yeah.
home and see the nephews and all of that. So
Well, and we couldn't go the past few
Mm.
years for obvious reasons. You had to go through managed isolation in order to get into New Zealand, which was a lottery system for just people from New Zealand in order to get in. So even with me being married to him, I had to apply for like a critical purpose visitor visa
COVID.
in order just to get in this past
we
time.
we were basically just heading up to catch up with family, but then with having 10 days in a hotel, well, I was like, well, might as well try to book a few shows. So we ended up booking a tour while we were
cool.
back, and
There you go.
the rentals were pretty cheap, so we were able to rent a little van with a bed in it. And
Of course.
Yep.
Found a van life van out there too to
Yeah?
travel around.
Yeah.
It was
Wow.
great.
Yeah.
You're meant for it.
Yeah.
I know.
yeah, managed to. We played one show where it was called the Monkey House Theatre, and it was a beautiful area called Coromandel. They hooked us up with this amazing catamaran trip where we went out to this incredible point, did some scuba diving, gave you beers along the way. I was like, what is this? And, pretty cool start to the trip out
It was
there.
nice.
Being a tourist in your own home country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
always
this
a good time.
really cool beach right by there called the Hot Sand Beach. And basically it's geothermal activity underneath it. So when the tide is within 2 hours before or after the tide going out, then you can dig a hole in the sand and hot water, like scaldingly hot water filters up. So you can use the waves coming in order to dilute it and make yourself a hot pool.
Wow.
In the sand, you just dig your own hot pool.
That's amazing.
It's so
Yeah.
cool.
Whoa, I had no idea. I don't
Not
think
just
about
Lord of the
this.
Rings,
I
Yeah.
There's a lot
know.
going on out there.
Well, the only thing I know, I haven't seen Lord of the Rings, but I am a huge fan of Flight of the Conchords.
Well, I'll forgive you then. Flight of the Conchords are amazing. You see, Brett is now touring his serious songs or whatever it is.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think he's actually in the States right now, like
What?
doing a tour. Yeah.
You haven't met them, have you?
Only in passing at like a radio station back in New Zealand.
Are they huge there?
Yeah, like everyone knows
Yeah.
them. Yeah, for
Yes.
sure. They're just like great lads though.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Brett was always an incredible musician beforehand. He played in a band called the Black Seeds and actually had some number one hits with that band anyway, before then doing the Flight of the Conchords thing. And now he set up like a ukulele orchestra, which is hilarious.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a really good musician. So, I mean, Am I a Man or a Muppet? What a song.
It's a hit. It's an
Yep.
absolute smash.
That's a great.
I don't want to glance over the fact that you have not seen Lord of the Rings. We need to talk about this.
Yeah. They're so long. I don't know. And I'm a filmmaker and I haven't seen it.
You got to watch the
Oh my
extended
God.
You gotta,
edition. then.
yep, commit.
You're gonna do it.
The next time you get like a
What?
cold, they're perfect. Like it's perfect sick movies. Like
Okay.
when you get food poisoning or you have a cold and you're out for 2 or 3 days, binge, watch them all back to back to back. Spend like the 15 hours because it's worth it.
Okay.
They're so good.
And as a filmmaker, you would love it because they're beautifully
Yeah,
done. Like the
aesthetically.
cinematography is insane. The landscapes are insane.
Yeah.
It's just so well done. I know there's a lot of hype around it, which often I feel like when things are overhyped, it makes you not want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's worth the hype.
It's warranted.
I tried it when I was young. Like we rented it from Blockbuster, but I think I was too
Oh, yeah.
young to understand.
Yeah.
It's a
what was
lot.
going on.
It's a deep
So-
storyline. There's a lot of characters. we like listening to podcasts as we're driving because it helps the time pass, and we listen to audiobooks. So last summer we went through all of the Harry Potter books,
Oh.
literally start to finish, all of them.
Oh, that
which
nostalgia
was fun.
felt so good.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a deep hit.
And then when you get off the road, watch all the movies again.
I know.
Oh, it
It's
was
exactly what I did
great.
because my wife is like the biggest Harry Potter nerd I've ever met, which is why we love each other because I think I can quote enough of each of the movies
Yeah.
where I can follow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we do that at least once a year. I think we watch them all once a
Movies
year.
are fun.
Yeah.
I haven't read them. So.
Yeah. It's good. It's honestly very similar to the movies.
We've gone on to like Serial because I love Serial. I think that their early podcasts were amazing, and then when what was the latest one? A Trojan Horse Affair. So we had a great listen to that, and that just really helps you on those drives. Like recently, we played like out at near Hilton Head. And North Carolina and Georgia, and so some of those are pretty long drives, like 10 hours or whatever from Nashville. And we don't want to keep Alex away from his wife all the time, so we're trying to obviously do a lot of those is just like one night. you know.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
Which is still a big drive
the out
for a
and
couple
backs.
nights out there.
Yeah.
They're a little bit tough.
Do you switch off driving? Because that's the thing with
Yes.
me. I'm one guy. I'm like,
Oh, I
10
can't
hours.
Yeah, that's a
imagine.
commitment.
Yeah.
For us, it's amazing. You have one person drives, one person's in the back lounging, vegging as best you can, usually the previous driver, and then somebody's always co-piloting.
Yep.
Never really sit up front alone.
Yeah.
Just not smart. Always
Yeah.
two sets of eyes, or like go grab me some
Yes.
food, or change up the music. You
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
it's a
Keep
safety
the conversation going
true.
too. Keep you entertained. It goes by a lot faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is amazingly enough, this guy can still come up with conversation topics after we've lived in a van together for months on end.
It's a gift.
I often just
It is a
chat with
gift.
the podcast.
Yeah.
Just like, why not?
You ever thought about having your own podcast?
He has
maybe back in the day.
many times.
Oh, you gotta just jump
We
in.
have a lot of plans.
Yeah.
We're thinking about doing a Murder Ballad Mondays series that we'll do. We're going to do it on like the Instagram Reels and Facebook and TikTok, where we're either going to be talking about like the origin of murder ballads, what it means, cover a song that's a murder ballad like Johnny Cash or even one of our own. And then we're thinking about turning it also into a podcast. So maybe that'll be the first.
There's just a lot of things all the time, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's why I have to kind of be like, as much as I really want to do that, I think it's important we focus on finishing the next album. You
Writing
know, like
music
there's-
first.
that's kind of part of the problem with being the musician now. These days, I guess, is you've got all the social media. You have to do it. You have to stay on top of it. So
Yeah.
we are extremely lucky to have someone like Dani in the band.
Yeah, who's willing,
excellent at it.
yeah, willing, able, and talented.
Yes.
Oh, guys, that was so nice.
Aw.
Don't ever expect me to
Digital
say that
shit
again.
That's recorded too.
Shoot. Yeah.
Doing a podcast is definitely production. Like doing it
Yeah.
by myself is like a
This
lot.
is no small feat, even
No,
in
it's
here.
not.
Well, I actually didn't plan to have a podcast when I first started doing the van stuff. It was to do outdoor filmmaking. You can like charge camera batteries and stuff. And then when I got a full-time job, I was like, well, now I'm the weekend warrior doing this. And then I had the idea to do a podcast because this table just so happened to be here. And the screws around where the partition used to be fit the same size screws as like all my video equipment.
I was
That's
wondering, this was so convenient that
Yeah.
you can just thread
Yeah.
them through.
Yeah.
Because at first I had a tripod, and I'm like, wait, these screws fit. So
Amazing.
it started with like this letterbox here was in the middle, and then I was like, I have power, I'll do a monitor. So
Yeah.
I don't know, it just all like came to me in my parents' driveway. I was like, Dad, I think I'm gonna do a podcast. He's like, do you think it'll work? And here we are on episode 26.
Works
Nice.
fantastic. Well
yeah.
done.
Yeah, no,
I'm
it's
so
great.
stoked that you guys are here doing it. I was going to ask, murder ballads. I don't even know what that is.
There you go. Basically, there's storytelling songs. They started out with being like folklore. It's kind of the original songs, like history that was passed via oral tradition. And then it kind of evolved into people making up stories that often fit a murder theme. And they actually, even for a while, had like an air of sexism, where it was often men killing women. So an air of like femicide in them. And then Dolly Parton started doing them and flipping it around. It became very popularized. So you'll still hear them a lot in modern music, but a lot of people just don't know that that's what it is.
Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash. You've even got like Miranda Lambert.
Dixie
She's got
Chicks.
A few songs. Dixie
Oh,
Chicks.
even,
Goodbye Earl.
Goodbye, Earl. Yeah.
Carrie
Taylor Swift
Underwood.
did one.
Taylor Swift just did
Really?
one. Yep.
Oh, recently.
Civil Wars have done
Wars.
several.
Okay.
But usually they're just kind of roots-focused songs where one of the main characters either talks about killing someone or has
Oh,
died.
It's legitimately about murder.
It is,
If you
literally.
have a sound or something, it's about
Right,
that.
no,
Oh,
that's
nice.
the
It's
topic.
just
Yeah.
storytelling about murder. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
So
really in
one
all
our
genres
songs,
of music.
10 Black Crows, that's just, the metaphor of a murder of crows. So it's kind of fun.
Oh.
And then Dani
Yeah.
did one song about like the first female serial killer in the US.
And then, were you into that style of music too when you were coming on the band as a graphic designer, cello?
Funnily enough, no. We're all very different, which I think is why our music's so different. On top of being just three very ADD people, I'm not like, I went to music school and I was the classical nut, but I was a punk kid. Like I grew up listening to punk music, and I had my emo phase, which to be fair has a lot of murder ballads in it. Like I mean, so much emo music. If you go back to like the emo screamo days of the late 2000s, a lot about killing people. But yeah, I was never really a big folky until after college. I think once I chilled out, I don't know. I had my metal phase and my angry phase, but I didn't. Yeah, I just.
Mellow now.
Playing with them, you start with just like respecting the music at face value and just be like, oh, these guys play really well and this music's really hard to follow and I got to try to learn some stuff. And then you really you can grow to find things you like, that are similar to it. And I guess that's sort of how I got into folk music, was playing it first.
I was just told to get off the electric guitar.
Yeah, well, happy wife, happy life.
Hey,
And then I was like, well, I found a resonator guitar that happened to have a pickup in it and found that the blues works really well with the kind of music she was wanting to write. So it's kind of interesting how the sound evolved, I guess.
Yeah, I think we definitely fit into a lot of different genres because each one of us brings something from that genre to the table. Like Alex bringing classical, sometimes bringing in some punk elements.
When they let me.
Yeah, not too often. Nick brings in a lot of bluesy and rock elements, and then I'm probably more of the folk music listener, so I'll bring in more of
I
that.
started even using like a more operatic baritone at times, and I think that's because of the cello's influence and the classical timbre.
Folk music, bluegrass. I love that genre so much. Have you ever heard of like the Tuttles, Molly Tuttle?
Of course.
Yeah,
Really?
ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
Good guitar.
She is an animal.
She's
Beast.
so quick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or AJ Lee. Do you know who that is?
I vaguely know the name. I don't know
Yeah.
any songs off the top of my head, but I know the name.
So they were in a band together. It was the Tuttles with AJ Lee.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And they came through Felton in the Santa Cruz Mountains near UCSC like 10, 12 years ago. And I was still in high school. It was like, must have been like 2010. And I met them at this small Felton Music Hall, super small venue. And so I've gotten to like see them progress. And now Molly's doing her solo artist thing. But AJ Lee is like a phenomenal mandolin player. So that's like the instrument that I always wanted to play.
Oh, nice.
And then I bought one, and I know like 3 chords, and that's it. But
That's still
Counts.
great. You got to
singing
start
class,
somewhere.
So pumped too.
Oh,
yesterday.
I'm like a pretend mandolin player.
What?
I'm learning. It was one of the instruments where I was like, okay, I'm a guitarist, but we have 2 guitarists here, and we want to fill the frequency, and it's more my size than a guitar. So I got on the mandolin probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't do all the crazy picking, but someday.
Oh, but it
maybe.
sounds awesome though. Even just
It's a
adding the
fun
strumming
instrument.
into it as well. You know.
Yeah.
Like Danny used to write a lot of kind of Irish influenced music as well, and
Mm-hmm.
I like some of our fans. Our friends, Trials of Cato. They play.
Oh, man.
Oh, you should check out
Yeah.
Trials of Cato.
Okay.
They have an incredible mandolinist.
Got
like
it.
They have a
the
couple.
lead female singer.
couple.
Yeah.
Insane.
He's
She's a
also,
virtuoso.
Rob is amazing too. They're based out of Wales, and they play like the first record was very much like traditional kind of Celtic. It was really feel good, like Celtic bangers, and then they've turned it into like we call it like festival folk is what we call it now, where it's still folk music,
It's club bluegrass.
but
it's fist
you could
bumping club
play it to
bluegrass.
3,000 drunks and they would eat it up, and that's where
It's that whole stomp thing, you know?
Yeah, oh,
But they use a whole bunch of different sounds, so they'll even have like the classic hand clap and stuff like that.
nice.
So it's
Yeah.
they're good people, and
Yeah.
they absolutely shred.
and that's
Yeah.
kind of half the fun of it. We have this conference we go to every year. It's called Folk Alliance International, and it'll be basically a few thousand different folkies all in one hotel, and we're all just playing our music, trying to get attention of different industry people. But half the fun of it is catching up with different friends that you don't often see too often, and checking out their gear. What's their setup? How do they do it live? You know, learn what the best options are.
Yep.
And you always come out of it. We always come out of it with new song ideas because you're just immersed in, like Nick said, 1,500 songwriters and musicians for like 4
Way
days
too many.
straight from 10 a.m., maybe even earlier than that, from 10 a.m. until 4 a.m. every single day for 4 days straight.
Wow.
It's just
Yeah.
insane. It's one hotel, every single room in the hotel, like every hotel room, like every bedroom, it gets turned into a private showcase room at night. So you walk down the hallway and you can just keep jumping from room to room on all these different floors, and every single one is like a little mini showcase room.
That's incredible.
It's
nuts.
wild.
It's nuts.
And there might be like
Surrounding
20, 30 people in there, and you could be watching like someone who is the next massive
Molly Tuttle.
You know, like
be watching Sierra Farrell or
Yeah.
Molly
Yeah.
Tuttle or someone like that.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I also love Sam Bush, of course.
Oh yeah.
Newgrass
Oh,
Revival,
so good.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Again, back then, that was like my intro to bluegrass was 2010.
Yep.
And I heard this song by Newgrass Revival. I think it was Revival. And ever since then, seeking out like artists like yourselves.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
Yeah, it's like an interesting genre because I mean, bluegrass has really taken off. It's amazing with like
Yeah.
Billy Strings coming through, and I feel like that's sort of grown this huge jam band
Camp as
bluegrass
well.
following.
Yes.
Camp
Yeah.
is really
Girlfriend
kicked it.
loves.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
yeah.
we do too. I swear
Camp's
they don't
got,
have a
like-
bad song.
Are they bluegrass or are they Americana? You know, like these genres
mean,
start getting blurred a lot.
They're less bluegrass. They're definitely more
but
folk.
they do have the banjo.
But
Yeah, they just don't shred as much.
right, they're
True.
more song focused than bluegrass.
So we kind of, I guess, are somewhere in that point as well, where it's close to a bluegrass sound because of the instrumentation,
But
but
slower.
slow grass.
Okay.
Slow grass, right?
And then
We call it happy folk and murder ballads.
I like that. And you can do really whatever you want, too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool to be...
We're trying to bring in
Right.
dream folk elements as the next thing. So for the next album, we're trying to bring in like elements of post rock, you know.
Like Fleet Foxes, you know, they've got that ambient feel, but
Yeah.
it still has some kind of folk forward elements and styles. So that's the goal for the next
More
one.
pedals.
And do you all write together as well? How does a song become a song with South for Winter?
Well, honestly, a lot of the time it's just leave Dani alone. She's on a,
Yeah.
you know. So, yeah, like a lot of the time it could be a guitar part that might inspire her, but often she just comes out of nowhere with a song and it's already written. She's like, "What do you think of this?" And then we'll kind of be like, "Well, I think that the music should do this." And so we get to work on the music, which is fun.
Yeah.
But Dani is very much the key songwriter.
Yeah.
You know, I think we're lucky about that because what I found in this industry is there's a lot of insane musicians, but there's not really that many musicians who are actually also great songwriters. And I feel like Dani is one of those. I mean, I think she's a very good songwriter, so I think she's a great songwriter.
Thanks.
I can say
Well,
that
it's
because I don't
also-
write the lyrics at all. You know, anytime I've tried, they just get rewritten.
I think it's a yin yang too, where it's like it's something that connected Nick and I when we first met in Peru and we first tried writing a song together. Is I was like, I hear these melodies and I hear these ideas and a very basic guitar part, but in my head it sounds like this and I can't get it to sound that way. So I used to try writing with a lot of different guitarists and I would just be like, that's not the vibe I want. I can't explain it. And then I met Nick and I was like, it's exactly every single time. Even when I think that a song should go one direction and he's like, it needs to go this direction, every time he's right. Where I'm like, that's what it needed. Yeah, that's the music that needed to be behind it. So it's pretty cool. And then Alex adds in
understanding of music
amazing
theory
stuff.
and being able to just like kind of add the icing on the cake, if you will, you know? And also being a guitarist too, it means we can bounce off each other and he understands exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice to be able to speak the same language and come in to something that's already pretty much done, or at least is like, I see what's going on and I can go, okay, this maybe should be this, and I'm going to add something here to finish that idea. And it's very much, it's that way all the time. But I kind of like it because I don't think we very rarely write in the same room all at the same time. I think only once or twice Dani's come in, like, we've been in the same room with a fledgling idea and helped finish it together. It's just not...
Yeah, we have totally different ways of writing, for sure.
Well, and we hear different things because we listen to different types of music. So I think it works better starting with the structure already, rather than the song being pulled in 3 different directions. So once it starts with the structure and then
there's
evolves.
a song we're working on at the moment called Something in the Stars. And it's going to be probably the first single off the next album. And that was a weird one because Dani was doing like COVID ICU work in Denver at the time, and Alex and I were drinking, and so we were like,
Almost
hey,
the same thing.
From time to time.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, well, here's an idea. And we got into the home studio and we started crafting ideas and laying down parts. And before you knew it, we were like, I kind of love this song. I think this is a really cool track. So I sent it to Dani and she goes, how do you feel about me writing on that? And yeah, it's not the same track at all now. Like it started off in a very different ethereal kind of post-rock world. And now as she's put a lot more structure to it and it's become something totally different. So that was a weirder example of collaborating.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
differences.
Yeah, backwards. It was backwards
Yeah.
for us, which I think made it turn out really cool for that reason. And it finished, became a really strong product when it was finished because of the way it started, where the music was already done.
To be fair, it's not finished yet, though, is it? We're actually still going to get
We're
it.
working on it.
Yeah. But is the song ever really finished? Is I guess the next question.
Yeah,
That's a good question.
Danny could write a song and write the same song until she died, I think.
I really could. It's actually very annoying sometimes because I'm so obsessive and so perfectionistic that I'll take an idea and they'll be like, oh, that song idea came together really quickly. And I'm like, you didn't see the 15 hours that I spent singing that same part over and over again in my car and changing one word 30 different
radio
times
went out in the
for
car.
15
So now
hours.
she's just driving around singing, like humming in her head, and then
Yeah.
she'll come home and be like, I've worked out the song. Like,
That's cool.
When I'm working on a song, I will pick over it for months. Like pretty much all of my spare time, I'll be singing it in my head, looking at the lyrics, editing it until it's finally to the point where I'm like, okay, I don't think anything needs to be changed. And that might be 6 months. It might be a week, probably not a week, but it'll be a while. I'm very obsessive.
Tired of it.
I do, but my brain is so like cyclical. It's so obsessive that I can't rest on it until it feels like complete, until every single word feels like that's the word that it should be.
I feel like we've gotten a chance to hear like how a song is made.
Yeah.
You know, bringing those songs on the road. Bring me to the moment that you're on stage performing. I'd love to hear from you all. The reason why you're doing it. What are you feeling up there performing for people, or really any part of the process that makes you want to continue to do this with your life?
I've always felt like I played up to audiences just from a very young age. But the feeling I get now is like jamming with each other. And when the song goes great, which we are definitely the most critical of our performances, but when it actually gels and you can share that moment with an audience, I guess that's the high we're all trying to strive to reach and replicate. And so each show is totally different. But the magic of being in a room with like 500 people in front of you, and like I always think about this one Lawrence Chapel where up in Appleton, Wisconsin, where we had like a standing ovation after an instrumental, and I was so in the moment of playing the piece and focusing on not making a mistake that actually looking up and seeing a crowd giving us an ovation was a very weird experience, and something that you're like, well, I hope I get to experience this more and more in the future, because it is a real high. So that's yeah.
Yeah, I think there's highs in different places. I think my initial high from music has always been when the song is done and you hear it either recorded or you hear it played as a full band and it's complete and it's like, and it's good and you feel like it all just connects and it makes you feel like all that work was worth it and this is what you were pushing towards, is trying to create this piece that feels like the heights that you wanted it to reach. That's one high. And then the other one is performing. And when someone connects with a song in a totally different way than you had anticipated. And, you know, we had one of our songs, Always You, the one you mentioned, that was played during someone's birth. Wow. So they brought that baby a year later to our show, and she was like dancing during the song when she heard it. And we were like, oh my gosh,
10 Black
that's
Crows.
Crazy. 10 Black Crows as well.
That's
it's just like, you never know how someone's going to connect to your music, which is so cool.
Yeah, it's such a tangible thing that people can connect with in so many unique ways, depending on the person. And experiences at birth, like that's so cool that you have the ability to bring people together in a multitude of ways. And for you, what do we got?
Oh man, I think the big challenge for me was that I was on this path so early. I was like a lot of classical musicians, they try to find you as early, as young as you possibly can, because they need to start grooming you. And preparing you with fundamentals to get through like the rest of your life. So I sort of had to choose whether or not I was going to be a professional musician by like 13, 14. And I started playing cello in 5th grade. So I was 10. I had my teacher find me and sort of sit me down and go, you are capable. You have the gift to make this happen if you're willing to put in the work on top of the gift. Are you willing to do that? But you have to start today at 13. Like, how the hell do you answer that question? So, I had to do that, went through college, burned out, hated it, was really not what I wanted.
Preferred picking up chicks.
Right.
Literally.
Yeah. Did other things in college and then...
He was a cheerleader. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
He was a college cheerleader.
Threw girls around in college instead. Surprisingly, a lot more fun than sitting in a room playing scales by yourself. So I walked away from the instrument once I graduated for a few years and didn't touch it, but it's sort of, there's this like, you can't deny your programming. You can't fight your programming. There's something in my wires that is just set to do these things. And this was like the first time in my life where it feels right. I feel vindicated that like me putting in 20 years of ass busting, even if it's half-assed ass busting, is paying off, and that it like I didn't waste my time. Because that's such a hard, I don't know if you've ever had something that you've spent a lot of time and committed yourself fully to and stopped completely. Like hurts, right? It's really traumatizing. And having this finally be something where it's just like, oh, that wasn't a complete waste of my life, my whole life, because I stopped doing sports and I stopped doing extracurricular activities and I didn't hang out with friends as much because I had to go home and practice. I had a recital that, and if I fell on my face, it's real embarrassing. So
somehow you ended up in a folk band.
I ended up in a folk band, but like you can't make those plans for yourself. You just have to be open to those opportunities and then take them when they hit you in the face.
Showing up and giving it your all.
Yeah.
And seeing where that road takes you.
And that's exactly it. We'll do the same show to like 5 people as we would to 500.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's like, as we're talking about, it's training, leading to the bigger opportunities, perhaps. One of my favorite sayings is, there's no such thing as luck. It's when opportunity and preparation collide. Really beautiful sentiment. And that way you're just like, every step of the way is fine-tuning our live performance, whether it's the way we play the songs or the equipment we're using, to make sure that it can be consistent for each show.
Another guy said, luck, laboring under correct knowledge and just showing up to
I love that.
Be prepared for when something arises that, now you've spent the hours practicing. And it's like, if you didn't, maybe you would have to say no to those opportunities. Or it would end up a way in which you were hoping it would have gone better. So it's cool to see, even for a short time, knowing about your band, that it's very apparent, hearing you talk, that that's what's happening right now. You're having the opportunity to play for people all over the country, going up to Canada as well.
After the last couple of years, it's just like, throw it in, let's give everything to it,
Yeah. It's our first summer being full-time musicians.
Yeah.
And it's so wild.
Basically been on the road since like April. It's just been a crazy year.
Yeah. The chips are pushed in. I mean, this is like the first time where it's like, we're surprised we're not making millions of dollars this year. And, next year will be not millions of dollars either. But it's finally combining all of the last few years and going, screw it, we got to try.
Yeah, because
we got to try.
You don't want to regret it.
No.
Yeah,
20
making
years time
memories.
or something.
You can always stop.
Yeah.
You can always stop and go home. It doesn't matter when.
There's always a job that you could, hire, get hired to get fired for.
I can be a shitty temp anywhere at any time. Like, I'm really good at being a shitty temp worker.
What was that time that you were stretching your back out for an hour or something on the ground?
Yeah, exactly.
Alex works really hard in his temp jobs.
checking the cables under the desk, Yeah.
It was.
That's just amazing. Thanks for all the insight. Do you guys have time for a quick game of lighter questions? Or
Yeah.
burning questions?
Of course. Oh, my goodness. It sounds like Dani's deep questions. I kind of need this box.
She traps me, and like long road trips or on hikes, you just start asking the heavy questions,
I love to just, especially when we're on long drives and I'm bored, I just come up with really intense questions to ask them
in the past, she was just looking at ways to like have an excuse to break up with me. She's like, how am I going to be with a New Zealander? This is never going to work out.
Philosophical question.
Yes.
Just like, so would you pay for your kids' college? Like, I'm like, okay, good question.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have kids, right? So, but that's
Let's hear
the deep
these questions, though.
Yeah.
You have to ask that? We don't have kids, right?
Who would like to go first?
Ladies first.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, I even get to pick which one?
Yes.
Oh,
I don't know what these are. I haven't done them all either, so.
Okay. What is the weirdest thing about you?
Now, be honest.
I might
And
have
then
to.
you'll answer after.
There we go. I was going to say, can you guys answer this for me? This is a test.
You're married to her. You go first.
Weirdest thing. Well, I've got to be careful, more politically correct about this one.
Yeah.
I can't really think of anything that's weird about you off the top of my head.
Come on.
Aw.
You're too normal.
Alex can. Oh, no, I'm
These are all
not.
sound
might have
bites
one.
to
Alex
listen.
can go ahead.
Oh, gosh. Well, see, I need to choose wisely.
Yeah.
We are in a van together for a much longer
There you go.
period of time.
You need to like put earrings in all the cup holders.
That's a female thing. That's not even just a weird
No, but I'm
thing.
like, that's weird to me.
Okay, Dani's weirdest thing is she has the ability that I think a lot of women have, which is just sounds so terrible, but in my life personally, a lot of the women in my life have the ability to put things away. And then you never see them again.
That's fair.
Hey, babe, what happened to my favorite pair of shoes? Oh, I put them away. Haven't found them since, right?
Gone.
My mom does it too. Mom, where's my coat? Well, I put it away. Don't know where the hell that is. Danny puts things away. And in the van.
Yeah.
You know it's impressive when you can lose shit in the van.
Oh, I
It's
lose
true.
things in here.
All the time.
We got 4
honestly.
cabinets.
Yeah.
It's only, there's 4 options to where that stuff is.
It's
But
gone
Yeah.
forever.
Danny
There's
has,
AirPods in here somewhere. I will
Yeah.
find them
Oh,
one
yeah.
day.
Those are
Yeah.
small. That's
Yeah.
very forgivable.
she's got the put away gift.
All right, I'll call myself out on this one. I sing constantly to myself,
Oh,
and I don't
you're right.
realize
That is
it.
the weird one. Yeah, yeah.
I don't realize it. And recently, I've had people comment to me about it, and it's
Like my
actually
father,
very
when we were
annoying.
staying with my parents in New Zealand, he goes, "Does she always just walk around the house singing?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, like sorry, I've gotten very used to that, so it's not
Yeah.
weird to
Yeah.
me
I don't
anymore."
realize it.
Like, she's always
It's
singing.
not when I'm at work, but it's just when
Yeah.
I'm at home. I just walk around singing constantly. Like I'm not silent. I can't just sit and be silent. I just
Is it part of the
myself.
writing process or just song?
usually.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes it's
She's
just
just in
one
her head a
line
little
from a
bit
song.
sometimes,
I am
you know,
very,
like-
I'm
Yeah.
very much in my head. But sometimes it's one line from a song that I heard on the radio, and I sing that one line on repeat for an hour straight until he tells me, "Hey, you want to sing something else?"
It's funny because neither of them can sit in silence.
That's true.
Good point.
Take it from the guy who lives in the van with them.
That's true.
You're always working. That's what it is.
There you go.
That is
Let's
true.
call it that.
All
All right, next
Nick,
turn.
I think you're up.
All right, let's give it a shot. See what this one here is. Okay, who is the one person you constantly creep on social media? Well,
Oh,
obviously.
let's find out your secret.
Funnily enough, it's pretty south for winter.
Oh, really?
Because I don't actually run the accounts. So, like Danny's usually on top of that. So for me, I'm creeping on what she's posting because I'm like, what is posted today?
I almost might cop out and say the same thing because I'd be like, I usually get tagged, right? So I'm like, oh, that's a notification. I'm like, oh, it's just Danny. And another embarrassing picture of me
Yep.
Pretty much.
because I don't want my picture taken. I'm in the middle of something. She goes, stop for social media. I was like, we have to play in 10 minutes. I need to set up my gear.
I'm like, no, let me do the socials. It's important.
Would you like to do your burning question?
Is what you're doing now what you always wanted to do growing up?
Oh my gosh. You would pick
Wow.
that card.
What's so funny, and what I think sort of what I touched on is you can't imagine what you're gonna do when you grow up. I don't think you're dreaming big enough if you can imagine what you're gonna do when you grow up. Like it's never gonna be how you plan. It's never gonna happen the way you want. It's never as simple as you think, but it's always better, right? As long as you're working on it, it's better. So
That's super wise. I like that.
Aw.
You never know where that road will take you. Just
Yeah.
keep showing up.
Yeah.
What an ending.
I like that a
Wise
lot.
words
Oh.
to end on.
what about you two? What about you three? I would love to hear this from you.
Did I think I would be in a van with South for Winter right now? In Morro Bay, California? No.
No.
Well, I mean, when I was really young, it was like baseball player, of course.
Yeah,
Like
so you
Yeah.
got one. Who's your team? You've got like 7 to choose
Arizona
from.
Diamondbacks right now. Yeah. Well,
All
that
right.
baseball signed over there is a buddy of mine, Tyler Gilbert. He plays for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
He threw a no-hitter in his first start. Didn't give up a hit for the whole game.
Damn.
Pretty wild. So my little sister works at the stadium there as well. So I used to be Giants, San Francisco, and then I have a couple close ties to Arizona. But what I thought I'd be doing, I guess what I wanted to do growing up was like make movies, do filmmaking.
Yeah.
But like later on, I like capturing like real moments, documenting things in real time rather than super scripted on a big set. Right now, working at a hospital, doing video photo marketing is kind of more like that. But I still like going out and, doing this, which is in real time, obviously, but shooting at like a concert or something like that, something that you can really capture a moment of what's happening.
The energy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then also just I love the editing process, putting something together. I like picking the right song that like really honors a moment too and would
Wow.
fit and help convey it to an audience later too.
Yes. Music supervisors have such a cool job because
Yeah.
that song that you choose can change the feel completely of the
Yeah.
visual.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I feel like the best music supervisors are the ones where the song that you hear isn't what you expected to hear there, but it fits and it changes the feeling you have in that moment.
Did you both think that you'd be doing what you're doing right now too?
I think I did, to be
Yeah.
honest. Like it's the whole van life thing has just always been a natural progression. And playing music, I've always wanted to be playing music. So it's kind of just, it's always been a part of it, I guess. You know, you watch back on little films from when your parents are filming you as you're a kid and always trying to perform. And so, like, definitely feel like I'm living the life that I kind of have always wanted to live, you know. So it's, it changes, obviously, a lot as you gain perspective. You perhaps, when you're younger at certain stages, you see the rock stars like Guns N' Roses and stuff, and you're like, oh, I want to live that lifestyle. And then you're like, when you actually are living it, it's not the hotel glitz and glamour, like driving a Rolls Royce off into a pool like a Keith Moon type thing. It's actually just, well, how do we do this sustainably and not want to kill each other? Because that's 3 people in a small space traveling with a dog. And how do you afford to do it at a young stage if you can't afford like a tour bus? Well, build your own van and do it on the cheap or whatever, and like which we've done in the past, and learn from your mistakes and build a better one, So it's, like I've never really been a huge documenter of all the van builds and all that kind of stuff, but I do love audio documentation. So like when it comes to music, I've always been recording constantly.
Oh, Nick loves to do show and tell.
Oh, absolutely.
He has 15 years of music discography that he will pull up for you, like sit down and crack.
And it's terrible,
beers.
It's not good, but it's entertaining.
I get to see where he comes from.
Yeah.
Thank God you've practiced so much.
True.
So it is kind of like, I feel like I'm exactly where I want to be right now. So that's there's always room for improvement though. You never want to be stagnant with that. But getting to, someone asked me, what is the lifestyle you want to live? And I'm like, for me, it's travel, but also playing music, and more specifically playing the music I've written. I don't want to be like I've done a lot of cover stuff in the past and like pay the bills with it. That's great. I think it's an amazing profession, but I've always wanted to be a composer, and be a guitarist. And of course, like in a town like Nashville, getting work as a guitarist is extremely difficult.
Tough. That's tough.
So don't rely on it for sure. But that's where like being able to play in this band means that I can kind of showcase some things, and playing with a cellist really pushes you to do something totally different as well.
Yeah, I definitely think that our view of our futures has shifted a lot over the last few years. Like when we first started playing together, we were like, I need to get nursing experience in Nashville. Let's spend 2 years in Nashville, and then as soon as I have experience, we'll go back to New Zealand and pursue music, maybe start like a restaurant there, maybe start a listening room out there. And that's still maybe a someday dream, but as we've pursued things here as a band, more and more we've been like, there's such a good scene here. If we can tap into it, then maybe we'll be able to have a much bigger career here. And maybe that becomes our next dream. It's like, is this the project that could be our dream?
We can also then go south for winter and go back home to New Zealand and do a seasonal thing,
Is that where the name came from?
That's where it came from.
Ah, right.
Because they've got summer when we've got winter here. So it's really nice to skip winter.
I asked my girlfriend that last night. I was like, I wonder, because that's where I would want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're looking forward to doing that more in the future as it goes. It's like trying to build a scene here and then slowly build a scene there as well.
Amazing.
That's, I guess, part of our end goal. And then you can throw Australia into the mix as well with touring. We'll get there eventually. It's always stepping stones,
little at a time.
Yeah.
I've just, again, loved having you all join. Last night was amazing. Do you want to promote anything specific?
When we get back to Nashville, it's basically straight to the studio. We need to finish off the album. We're like 6 songs deep, and now we've got to kind of work out the rest of the album before we start trying to release singles next year for that. So,
But we're on social media and everything too for people who like tour dates. So it's at South for Winter Music, and our website is southforwintermusic.com.
All right, Dani, Nick, Alex, thank you so much again. South
Thanks,
for Winter.
Nick.
thanks for having us, man.
Anytime.
Feel like I'm at the tippy top of my game, looking down at the raft. Confidence, come on now.